I'm Tom, and I might start filming from the passenger seat of my car to get rid of the steering wheel. But people, two things. First and foremost, do you want to see more adventurous content from me on this channel? I'm really wanting to get into starting to film about football. I've done a few videos on here. I've played with the idea of it. Should I do that on a separate channel? Or do you think you wouldn't mind seeing it on this channel? I think this channel's small enough that it wouldn't really affect too much. I don't mind filming football content for this channel, amongst other content, right? Amongst other things as well that I want to do, other interests, fitness, lifestyle, that sort of stuff. But mostly, what do you think about that? Let me know. Number two, let's talk about Anthony Joshua versus Christian Prenga. He is coming back to the ring. I can't wait. We've also had announced Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury for Q4 of this year. I will believe that when I see it. We've been here so many times, not just with AJ versus Fury, but also with AJ versus Wilder. These fights seem to be impossible to make. It's a real shame. So I will believe that when we see it. I don't like these fights being announced before there's clearly a set concrete plan. Where is it happening? When is it actually happening? Like, these are things I'd like to know before it just gets announced. We've also seen Fury come out and say that he wants another warm-up fight. Do I actually believe that? Not really, no. Because at the end of the day, I think he was trying to say that as like a negotiations tactic to push AJ into taking this fight a bit quicker and getting a wriggle on, basically. But with Fury, you just never know. He's going to want to be, and he'll spin it. Well, I called AJ out, he didn't want to fight, so I'm having another one fight, and then it won't line up for the end of this year, and before you know it, they'll just retire. It's a real shame. Anyway, it's been announced. I'll believe that when I see it. The more pressing matter is AJ versus Pringles. This is a comeback fight. He's getting a bit of stick for. Fair enough. I get why, but realistically, the reality of the situation is the circumstances that AJ is in right now. Just seeing him back in the ring for me is a victory. I'm glad we're just seeing him. I don't necessarily care about the circumstances of his opponent, the level of his opponent. I'm just glad we're seeing him. I actually think Pringles is a decent choice. I don't necessarily... It's Christian Prenga, by the way. I'm trying to be funny. I don't think Pringles is a bad choice. I think it kind of makes a bit of sense. This is more about going through the motions for AJ. This is more about getting AJ through a training camp without his two friends that he lost that were part of his training camp, getting him through a training camp without those two, getting him into a fight night, into an arena, under the lights, after all that's happened without his friends, go through the motions, get some rounds under your belt against somebody who isn't named Jake Paul, and then we'll go from there. And I don't mind you picking an opponent who is 6'6", 270 pounds, and has a similar style, granted a much lower level to Tyson Fury. I don't hate it. Is it the best opponent? No. Does it do the job? Yes. I think the bottom line is, as I say, look, Christian Prenga's an okay choice. It's from the options we had, the options he was going to pick from, I don't mind you picking him. I'd rather see you in there with Wilder. To be honest, I'd rather see you in there with Dillian White, just because there's a bit of needle there. We were never going to see that. Dillian White, I think that's too risky in terms of the drug, the drug tests and things like that. Deontay Wilder, I think AJ wanted that. I think Eddie Hearn would have pushed for that. But Turki Al-Sheikh said that he's not going to do that, as in he won't fund that, because he thinks Wilder's punch is just too risky. I disagree. But maybe we've been here where we've seen fights lined up down the line and then not happening because of risky fights, and I don't think he wanted to risk it again. So I don't mind it. You've got a 20-1 with 20 knockouts. So a guy that can hit. People saying that, the knockouts are dodgy. Look, he can whack. He's a 6'5", 270-pound heavyweight. He can punch. All 20 wins by knockout. He can punch. Granted, I'm not saying he's the biggest puncher. I'm not sitting here saying he's not got the best opposition. But can he punch? Yes. He's a big guy. And he'll be confident. Look, what he'll do is he'll look at his record, 20 wins, 20 knockouts. He'll look at AJ's fight against Dubois and go, I think if I catch him flush, I'm chinning him. That's what he'll be thinking. That's the bottom line here. And I don't think that's true. But he'll be confident. He'll go in there, thinking that. And as I said before, look, he's nowhere near the level of Tyson Fury. But what he does do is box in a similar style to Tyson Fury. Those looping overhands, the uppercuts, the punches, the style he fights in is similar to Tyson Fury, just a much, much lower level. So in a warm-up style fight, you're fighting a guy who's big, heavy, and fights in the style just like Tyson Fury. I don't hate it. As I say, I still don't think AJ versus Fury is going to happen. What I do think will happen is AJ's going to walk in here, blow this guy out in 3 or 4 rounds, get 3 or 4 rounds under his belt, blow him out there for round 5 maybe, on to the next. And I think this also gives us an opportunity to see how the link-up with Team Usyk works. I think it's a fantastic link-up. I think it's a fantastic training regime and idea. I think it's going to be really good and really lucrative. So I'm excited from that element as well. Let me know your thoughts on all of this in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a like, a comment, and subscribe. You know how stuff works, people. Peace.